Hello there. How are you? We'll wait a few seconds so everyone can join. Hope you have started a great Monday, a great week. Okay, so I guess we're ready to start. Hi there, thanks for joining Programmers Week. My name is Marina, and I think you'll find this talk very useful and insightful, not only if you come from a design discipline, but also if you're working in other parts of the project, collaborating with multidisciplinary teams as well. We'll give you tools to approach your clients' problems with a different perspective. So for those who don't know me, my name is Marina. I'm a UX designer. I'm a graphic designer by profession, and I've been working for Softvision for over 2 years now. I worked with several and different projects involving industries such as fintech and banking as well. And today here with me is a very special friend of mine and colleague, Tina. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marina. Hi, all. My name is Agustina, and I've been working in Cognizant Softvision for almost 2 years now. First of all, thank you for attending to our talk. I'm currently working in an internal product in the healthcare industry. So today we want to tell you a little bit about us by sharing with you how is a day working as a UX designer. First of all, as you all know, we've been working from our homes since the pandemic hit in March 2020. And this new normal has enabled us and most roles in the tech industry to have a 100% remote working day, right? But also to reinvent ourselves, to still work close with our teammates and, of course, the users. First thing we do when we start our day is to check our calendar. One of the types of meetings we can have are syncs with our team. They can be, for example, one-on-one with a colleague, but we also have, for example, plannings about what we have to do and how are we going to accomplish our goals based on a timeline. Another type of meeting, and this is a very important one, is to present our work. The feedback and the iteration is an important part of our day-to-day as designers. When we talk about team, we're referring to people in product. That could be designers, but also product owners, project managers, among others. We also talk about developers, such as front-end or back-end developers. We have a close relationship with front-end developers because they are the ones that get our work and materialize that. But we also are close to backend developers in case we need to understand how to integrate any tech process into our experience. And of course, business people. Business people take the business needs of the client and translate those to us. Okay, so we have to integrate that into our experiences.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Okay, so we have a very fun relationship with clients every day. And there are a lot of clients out there. We could have small or bigger corporations that we can work with. We also can work with entrepreneurs, startups, and also with internal products. But no matter who our client is, there's one thing that equals all of them, and that is how mesmerized they are when they find out that UX is not graphic design, it's not about making something beautiful or prettier. And another point of contact, which is really important to us, is the one that we have with our users. We do an analysis of the data that we collect during the process, the design process. And one way of doing that is by observing their habits, how they interact with a product or service that we are designing. And we interview them. And there are many ways of doing that. We make sure we carry a thorough list of things that we want to find out. And we define a clear goal of the research before we meet with the users. That is all traduced into a product, which can be digital or not. It could be experience, for example, of buying some groceries in the supermarket or register for a credit card in the bank. And a very important part of the day is obviously the one where we recharge our energies and batteries. And this could be with a large cup of coffee or mate for us Argentinian folks. Last thing, but not the least important, is that we can share knowledge. And sharing knowledge is key to us designers because we are enriched by different perspectives and other colleagues' opinions and experiences, and not only from the people that we design for, but all of our team.
Okay, so now that you already know a little bit about us, we want to hear from you. So we're gonna share a poll with only 2 questions for you to answer. So Marina is sharing now a screen. If you go to www.menti.com and use the code that is in the screen, you're gonna be able to vote. So we're gonna wait for a few seconds for people to join. Okay, we're not seeing the code. 1 sec. So Marina, would you like to refresh to see if we can see the code?
Let's see if it works. Nope, it's not working.
Okay, so I have the code. Let me just, the code is 39801162. 39801162. I don't know what is not appearing in the screen.
Would you rather share your screen, Tina, if you have that display there so everyone can see that?
Yep. Give me 1 sec to do that. Okay, now I'm seeing people.
Yay.
Let me share that. I'm gonna share my screen. You have to stop sharing, Maru, for me to start sharing.
Okay.
Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yep, perfect.
Awesome. So let's see if we have the first question. So first question is, what do you do or what do you study? You're gonna see a few options: front end, back end, product, business, or other. Let's wait for everyone to vote. Okay, awesome. So most people is from product, which is good because we're UX designers, but it's good to have people from other disciplines. Okay, let's go to the next question. One second to load. What is your interest in this talk? Do you want to insert yourself in the fields? Do you want to know the discipline? Or do you want to integrate design processes into your workflow? Let's wait for everyone to vote. Okay, do you want to integrate? Most answers are that you want to integrate design processes into your workflow. This is good because, like Marina said at the beginning, we believe that UX discipline is, and its processes, it has a lot to give to other processes. Okay, so that was all. Thank you for sharing your inputs with us. I'm gonna stop sharing for Marina to go back to the presentation.
Okay, now we voted. So.
Okay, so we already said that we are UX designers and we mentioned these initials a lot, but what is UX? So UX from its initials means user experience. User experience is a people-centered design that is intended to meet the needs of a user. So the emphasis is on the user. And this emphasis is not only in the beginning, but in the whole process of developing a product. So user experience covers all the aspects of the end user interaction. That can be with a company, with services, and or with products that can be digital or not. So user experience is the experience that users have before, during, and after using a product, okay? It's also important to distinguish user experience from UI, that means user interface. The UI is a very important part of a product, but we need to know that a UI can be perfect, but if the UX is not good, the user will not be able to accomplish whatever they're trying to do in a product. Let's see an example. In this case, we have on a side the product parts, for example, the bowl, the cereals, the spoon, and a jar. And we can say that the user experience is for the user to have their cereals, right? And the UI would be this lovely steel spoon, okay? But what will happen if my UI, instead of being made of steel, is made of paper or cardboard. In that case, our user wouldn't be able to accomplish their goal, right? That is to have their serials.
So to make a real distinction between UX and UI and to make it more visual, we think that this graph illustrates very well which are the relationships between the different disciplines that exist within the user experience. Although the most popular and requested profiles are UX and UA at the present, there's a wide range of possible ramifications in the design of experiences. User experience consists of a lot of disciplines that enrich and make the user interaction possible and much more pleasant. For example, UX writing, you could have people coming from professions such as journalism and communication, working in messages and processing the information that the users are going to interact with. In user research, for example, people coming from the psychology and social science studies and fields could be analyzing human habits and participating in the process of research. Motion design, in another field, we have people coming from animation and audiovisual specialists as well. So as you can see, we have different and multidisciplinary profiles in the UX field and in the UX spectrum. And this is why in a team that is dedicated in the development of a digital tool, we can have people coming from different fields and profession and participating in multiple ways and giving the product that we're working on much more value, because the more visions that we have on a problem, in this case, the better it is for the design process. So we have the profiles, we have the people, but how do we design? What methodologies exist and we could use when designing a tool? And this is for everyone, not only for designers and people working for product, but also for people that come from the development side. You can take advantage of every part and every methodology that the UX experience has to offer. The answer is that there are a lot of tools, approaches, frameworks, theories, but it always comes to one simple thing, but that is not that simple, of course. that is how do we solve a problem? And the most valuable thing about all these methodologies is that they focus on detecting or finding a problem and solve it. One of the most popular frameworks there is available right now is the double diamond model, which was developed by a Norman Nielsen group. And here, as you can see, we present there is a challenge, there is a problem, and we, at the end of the process, come up with a tangible solution, which is the outcome of the process. The double diamond represents the process of exploring a problem from a broader and more extensive perspective, which is the divergence that we are going to focus on the next few slides and explain it further, and then taking it to a focused action, which is the convergence. In the divergence steps or phases, we want to focus on thinking broadly, expanding our minds, thinking out of the box, and generating all the ideas that we can. We want to focus on quantity rather than quality at this step. So everything that is related to brainstorming and creating and exploring unexpected ideas out of the box, they are all welcome in this part of the process. And as you may know, it's much easier to find a good idea among 100 rather than to find it in three options. So here more is better. We don't want to be minimalistics here. Also, and I think this is the great part about divergence, is that we don't want to discard the ideas. We want to focus on generating them. We don't want to stop and analyze and criticize them. So we want to, as we said, focus on quantity rather than quality. So there will be time to criticize them and start exploring which are the most viable ones for the product and for the business. But in this case, we don't want to make any judgments, whether they are good or bad. We don't want to hold back and criticize the ideas. Then we have the converge step and the converge phase. This is where we vote, we analyze, we discuss the ideas as a group. Here is important not only to generate ideas in the diverge part, but also take those ideas, discuss it, talk about whether they are feasible in the technical way, and also to detect which could be the risks of implementing those ideas as well. So here you can vote, you can work as a democracy and talk about which are the agreements that you're going to reach upon.
Okay, so design thinking, it's one of the most popular methodologies to iterate a product. This methodology has a lot of steps, and what we do in this methodology is to maximize the creativity and the collaboration in the team. It's super important to say that it's iterative, okay? What does this mean? Well, this means that we get to elaborate, to refine, and improve a process or a product. Let's take a look. So the first stage of this design process is to empathize, okay? This is the most essential phase. Here is when we try to discover and understand the needs of our users, but also the needs of our clients. So the goal is to understand their true motivations and their true frustrations. And how do we do this? Well, not only observing them, but also interacting with them. Some of the tools that we can use in this stage are interviews. And when we interview our users or our clients, it's important to register whatever relevant information they're giving us, okay? And to register that information, we can use, for example, the empathy maps. The empathy maps we see on the right? So you see that we have the user in the center, and we can describe how the user is thinking, how they're feeling, what they see, what they hear, what they say and do. Here it's important to clarify that we distinguish these two actions, because most of the times a user can say that they do something, but they're not actually doing it. So we distinguish these two actions as well. The next phase is to define, okay? So in our previous stage, we discovered the needs of our clients, of our users and clients, okay? Most of the times, there is a lot of things to improve, okay? So we need to say, okay, of all these needs that we discover, which are the ones that we are gonna focus on? This is the phase for it, okay? So we do an evaluation of all the problems that we detected in the previous stage to then arrive to a solution. Some of the tools that we can use here are mind maps, user personas, and journey maps, okay? So here we start to build a user profile. Next step is to ideate. In the ideation stage, it is time to start thinking and launching more than one idea, okay? all these ideas to try to solve the problems that we're going to solve. So some of to me, this is the most fun stage. And some of the tools that we can use here is Crazy Eights and also classic brainstormings. And these tools are good to use with the client as well, for them to understand how we start prototyping our ideas, okay? Because a lot of times we start with just a blank paper and sketching some sketches.
Okay, so next phase is to prototype and to turn our ideas into tangible ones. So it's important here to focus, not to focus first on the details and complex interactions. We want to prototype our ideas in a cheap, simple, and fast way with the budget that is available. So we don't want to stop here to think about specific things such as colors, such as iconography or images, because we want to focus on the overall experience and the overall interactions that the user is going to have in the product or the service. We strongly encourage you not to use maybe digital prototyping tools, because they tend to lead you into making these details more complex and to focus on specific things and things that are more visual. So what you want to get out of this phase and what is the outcome of this phase is to come out with a prototype. And this prototype has to be simple and has to become easy to implement in order to test then with the users. So if you have a piece of paper, if you have a pencil, that's more than enough in order to prototype your ideas. And you'll have time to do something more detailed and more complex in the future of the process. So remember to focus on having a layout, an overall experience and an overall interaction, and don't focus on the details in this phase. Next is to test our prototypes. So we go out with our prototypes with the potential solution and the users that we defined in the earlier process, because we need feedback from them. We need to know and to understand whether we are approaching the problem in the right way, and if the users are able to perform tasks in the way that they were supposed to. We want to focus on reading their behavior, their reactions, what they are, their concerns, their questions and thoughts on how they think that the prototype works and how the solution works. This is a great chance to understand if we are doing things right. And also it gives the opportunity to rectify and to go back and iterate in this part of the process. Last but not least is the implement phase. So here's where we transform the ideas into something real. And at this stage, we hand off the design to the development team. And we have to make sure not only that the solution implemented matches the visual quality proposed, but also that the usability and interactions have been developed in the right way. So key element here and super and really important is to focus on how are we going to test that these tasks can be done by the users as well after you implement, not only in the test phase, but also here we will have to test if the implementation has been well implemented. So this doesn't mean that that all these tools have to be used at the same time. We have one of our tasks also as designers is to detect when we are going to use each tool and to use it in an intelligent way. So they may be stages of this process that come predefined by the client, but that doesn't mean that we cannot challenge those solutions or those predefined concepts. Our job is also to detect if the problem has been framed in the right way. So these tools are also complementary, and no tool should be used as a single source of truth. We can use it, a lot of them in like in a mix, in order to understand if we are framing the problem in the right way.
Okay, and also for any of the design stages that we just saw, or any design methodology that you decide to go with, there are basic rules that we need to take into consideration when carrying out a design process. First one, and an important one, limit time for each step. With the awareness of time limitation, actions can be prioritized, okay? And also the decision making is forced. Second one is to build in collaboration. When people is working isolated, it isn't easy to share ideas or to share information. Agile collaborations help us to connect the right people from different groups to work together on tasks. In this way, we boost cross-team collaborations, but also productivity. Another one, and an important one as well, is the active listening. Listening is the way we connect with people. And the active listening allow us to understand problems and to collaborate to develop solutions. People will be more open to share ideas and thoughts with those who actively listens than with those who doesn't. Next one.
Okay, so we talk about this in the diverge phase. No idea should be discarded, even if it seems too crazy or outrageous. And if it's discarded, don't throw it all away at once, because it could become the foundations for another one, for another great idea. Everything that surrounds us was at first a far from the reality idea. When we are brainstorming, especially, everything should be taken into account. Instead of falling in love with your idea on day one, look at the problem objectively. You have to encourage the team to discover multiple ideas and plan out how you can test those ideas with low cost. You have to prototype, test them. You have to also test your concepts, your designs, before getting too attached to one and only idea. Every design approach should be iterative. And to be able to do that and to become one, you should always have access to the documentation surveyed and created throughout the whole process. All information should be accessible to any member of the project, whether you are a developer or a designer or a project manager or a product owner. And that makes that everyone's decisions can be data-driven. Fail fast, fail cheap. This is an agile concept, and which lays behind this statement is that you should move quickly, like this pig, experiment and find things that don't work before you invest more in them. So you don't go too far into your launch process before realizing that you have made an error. So this is why we encourage to try and to test things as fast as possible.
Okay, and now to start closing this talk, we want to inspire you all to use technology as an ally, to use it to fulfill different processes, and to try to generate an impact on people's life.
We as designers and as people working in a project, we have a lot to give to this world and to make it better, but also the sense of responsibility towards everything that we do. We have an ethic responsibility to everything that we implement, and we contribute as individuals in a project.
Yes, and also we as women working in tech, and knowing that the industry tech is an industry mainly driven by men, we want to highlight that the gender gap today is so wide, and it's gonna take a lot of time, probably hundreds of years, to close it, right? Like most social changes. So we want to inspire you and to invite you to be aware of this and keep this into consideration every time we design a new experience.
Okay, so we want to leave you with a few recommendations. These are websites, books, podcasts that you can listen to if you're interested in learning more about UX experience. This is a great starting point for everyone. So feel free to take a screenshot. We'll leave a few seconds, please. And I'm not sure if there are any questions. But I guess not.
No, we don't have any questions in the chat right now, so that's it.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. These are our LinkedIns and mails if you want to reach out to us. And if you had any doubts, concerns, questions, you can feel free to make them through these channels. Thanks, Dina.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
See
all,
you next
and
time.
hope you enjoy. Bye.
Bye-bye.